Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Regular viewers will know I review many photographic, audio and video related products. Well, today we're taking a look at a lens, and it's a rather excellent lens. That's a spoiler alert from the start. What it's one of these three lenses. It is the Panasonic 100-300 lens designed for the Micro Four Thirds format, and this is the lens with its lens hood, but this is a lens without its lens hood. So it's a very cost-effective telephoto lens. It's really designed for sports and wildlife photography. That's what I think anyway, because although it's a 100-300 as it shows on there, it's effectively 200-600, and that's a phenomenal range. And look at the size of the lens. It is absolutely, well, minuscule for a lens of that nature. Now, I've got various, I've got a couple of other sort of long telephoto lenses, but I had an issue with them, and I think you'll see what that issue is. And here they are. This is one that I've got, which is weighs an arm and a leg. Now, it's freaking huge. It is the Sigma 150-600. So to be fair, it's pretty much a similar range, because the this one, the new Panasonic one, is 100-300. And if you look at the size difference, I mean, gee, God alive. There's a huge difference, absolutely humongous difference. This has got a tripod collar on the 100-600. It's one heck of a beast. And when it's extended, that is so front heavy, that is friggin' huge. If you extend this one, you can see there, it is absolutely, no, it's less than half the size. And it's far less than half a weight. It's a third of a weight. So, you know, this is a phenomenal lens. Now, you know, I got this because I wanted to do some wildlife photography. I wanted to have a little play with some wildlife photography. So I bought the Sigma lens to be able to do that. But what I've discovered since I've owned it, although the image quality from it is great because it's full frame, so it works with my Nikon Z6 via the FTZ adapter, that adds even more length and weight to it. But I found, for me, it was just too restricting. I had to carry around a bleeding tripod, or at the very least a monopod, every time I wanted to go out and do some wildlife photography. Well, because of that, well, you can guess what happened. This is ended up sat in the drawer. Well, not in the drawer, sat in its case, you know, under the desk. Vast majority of the time, honestly, you can't tell on the video how heavy that is, but that's one heavy beast. So I then thought, I tell you what, I'll get a more compact lens. So I then went out and bought the Nikon. Let me just shut that down a minute. I went out and bought this lens here, which is the Nikon 70-300. So it's not even the same range. So I got the Nikon 70-300 for me, again, for me Z6. And again, I have to fit it via the FTZ adapter because this is an F-mount lens. But pretty reasonable image quality. It's not as good image quality as I was getting from the Sigma, but it's you know, half a length again. So if you look at that, I'll take that off. That was again half that size again, but I was still restricted because it's still, even once you got the FTZ adapter on, it's still, you know, quite a beast. Nowhere near as bad. Of course, when I fitted this to me Nikon Z50, that was great because I was able to get sort of 200-450, so it covered quite a good range and quite reasonable sharpness, and that was an APS-C sensor. So I probably won't get rid of that, and it's not too heavy. I can work with that. But since I bought the Panasonic G9, which is basically the Micro Four Thirds camera, which is this one here, I bought the G9. I've done a review on the G9, so look on my channel for the review of the G9. And that's a great camera. I bought this this 100 to 300, which I said earlier is effectively 200 to 600 to fit on my G9. Now that's the lens itself. Before I put it on the camera, a really nice zoom ring. The lens does come out, but it doesn't all the lenses, and you'd have to spend a lot of money for a lens that doesn't trombone. But that trombones. A nice manual focus ring. I've never used manual focus. It's fly-by-wire, so it just keeps on turning and turning and turning. So it's going to be extremely difficult to mark different focus points, you know, from near to far. But you wouldn't want to do that really with a zoom lens. And the only switch on it is your image stabilization, because it has got image stabilization in the lens. I don't know what, I think Panasonic call it mega optical image stabilization. They're calling it power OIS. So power optical image stabilization, and that's built into the lens, and there's a switch on the side there. That's the only switch on the lens. You know, great lens. So I thought, well, this is even more compact. It's a longer range. And when you fit it to the G9, and I think also the GH5 and one or two other Panasonic bodies, it gives you dual image stabilization. So you get the 5-axis that's in the body of a camera, so you still get that image stabilization, but you get the image stabilization in the lens as well. And I've actually gone down to about 200th of a second at 600 mil, effectively 300 mil, and got, you know, pretty decent images. But it is a lens you need to experiment with and get to know. I say that because you can't really go to really slow shutter speeds at the telephoto end and expect to get sharp images. It won't happen. Also, with moving subjects, you need a faster shutter speed anyway. But you can hand hold it. You could walk around all day, which is what I did do, and still feel really comfortable. Could you ever imagine walking around all day and, you know, without using that handheld? You just, oh gee God, even if you're young, and I'm not, you would be really peed off with that. But with this combination, not a problem. Image quality from the 100 to 300, very pleased with. I took a few, I can't even get to my computer now. I took, you know, several images. Here's a few that I took at our local park, and yeah, they came out, you know, really nice, really nice. Very pleased with how this lens works. Now, there is one great thing when it's fitted to the G9. This was another reason why I wanted to get this lens. This particular body has now got animal detect. It's a phenomenal technology. And if you look at these video clips that I filmed with the G9 of how the eye detect and animal detect works, it actually picks out the, you know, the outline of that animal, be it a bird, a rodent, a squirrel in this case, and you get great images. So I'm over the moon with how it works. I mean, that image, lovely and sharp, lovely. I mean, look, the eyeball, perfect sharpness there. Whether you see that on YouTube, not Facebook, on YouTube, who knows? But, you know, that's absolutely outstanding. Very chuffed with that. And that's a combination, I think, of a number of factors. I don't know what shutter speed that was. What shutter speed? 1/400th of a second at, where are we? 183 mil. So that's effectively double that. So that's 200 and 300 mil. No, over 300 and something odd mil at 1/400th of a second. And I think this combination is awesome because you're getting, I mean, what's creating, I think, a factor to these sharp images, A, is the animal detect, B, is the twin IBIS, the twin image stabilization, so the lens and the body working in unison to be able to get that. So, you know, to be able to go around and get handheld images, it could be motorsports, it could be motorcycling, it could be animals, it could be birds, you know, whatever it might be, I think is a phenomenal thing. And And as you can see, you know, nice and sharp, absolutely super. And Micro Four Thirds is beautiful. The dynamic range that this camera produces is great, you know. Yeah, I mean, you look at that image, you know, again, the animal detect picked that out, and that, I think that was, it just makes it a lot easier for me. I don't have to think so much. The camera itself is doing the work, you know. And as you can see, that is a nice combination. It is compact, you know, and it feels really good to hold, you know. So again, the sharpness. And this is not an expensive lens. This is a really consumer level lens. I mean, it's £480 something here in the UK. Not sure which. But look at the detail in that. It's gorgeous. I'm really looking forward to using this lens more. Another one of my squirrels. Well, not mine, but look at the detail in his face. It's just really, really chuffed. Really chuffed with that. The swans. So yeah, so there we go. That's the Panasonic 100-300. It's not a constant aperture. It's a variable aperture lens. I don't know what it is actually. I can't remember what it is. It is, where are we? I'm saying it there somewhere. F4.0-5.6. So yeah, a reasonable amount of light is needed to be able to use this lens, but you'd be using it outdoors most of the time anyway, if not all the time. You might use it indoors at an arena or something, but F4.0-5.6. But the fact that you can reduce the shutter speed, although that's a bit contradictory, because I said earlier you probably wouldn't want to anyway if you're photographing fast moving subjects. But Micro Four Thirds, you can crank the ISO up to 800, possibly 1600, and then just use some image, noise reduction in software such as Lightroom or Luminar 4. So yeah, just have to be a little bit careful because it isn't a constant aperture. But a constant aperture lens is going to cost a great deal more and be a much bigger lens. So, so there we go. Yeah, so it's an F4.0-5.6 with a tromboning zoom, but again, that's part of a course of the lens at this price. But you can see the images. You know, you can see for yourself. They're completely, they're absolutely fine. In fact, they're excellent. So yeah, chuffed to bits with that. Not much more else I can say about it really. So there we go, yeah. That's the Panasonic, well, I've said that so many times. The Panasonic 100-300 comes supplied with a lens hood, and it'll work just as happily on the Olympus bodies. I've got an Olympus OM1 here. What you won't get though is the dual image stabilisation. I don't think the Panasonic lenses, I have to do a bit more research, but I'm pretty sure the Panasonic lenses don't support dual image stabilisation on an Olympus body. But that's my OM1. I've actually used it with the OM1 and it worked fine. So there we are. So I hope you found that useful. A short and quick overview of the Panasonic 100-300. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you found this useful. If you did, please subscribe if you haven't already done so, and hit the like button if you like the content of this video. Thanks again. See you again soon. Bye for now.